what advice would you give to somebody thinking about starting a business here in West Virginia?
You will regret it if you don't. You have your entire life in front of you. If you fail, you can go get a job.
Love it.
So
Love it.
just go for it.
Positively West Virginia is powered by Breezeline high-speed fiber internet and sponsored by Huntington Bank, Highmark West Virginia, Freedom Key of Morgantown, and Storymaker. With the help of these sponsors, we are able to share the positive business stories of West Virginians, including the one featured in today's episode.
Folks, we're visiting today with Judd Walther, CEO, and COO Andrew Morrison of Rebuilders. They're the co-owners of Rebuilders in West Virginia. Judd and Andrew, thanks for being on the show, guys.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, absolutely. It's great to have you here in the studio, and I look forward to discussing your business and your story, your entrepreneurial story. How's that? Judd, why don't we start with you? Tell us a little bit about Rebuilders and what you do.
So at Rebuilders, we specialize in commercial restoration. So buildings, whether it be office buildings, industrial spaces, healthcare facilities. If you have a water damage issue or fire damage, maybe a storm comes through and rips a roof off, we have emergency crews available 24/7 to provide you with those emergency services, as well as we're a full service general contractor on the reconstruction side.
Yeah, that's awesome. And, you painted a very good picture on that. I want to ask both of you guys. First, I'll start with you, Judd, and then I'll go to Andrew. What inspired you to get into the commercial restoration business?
Well, we'd started out in the residential side, and it's just kind of grown. We found that our services are better fit in the commercial realm. We just have a good team and network of contractors that we have developed very fluid relationships with that make our processes streamlined and overall a easy situation when there is a problem to fix.
Yeah. Andrew, how about you? Why did you get into this business?
Well, Judd and I, we grew up together.
Pocahontas County.
We did.
That's awesome.
Yep. Born and raised in Pocahontas County. I was going to school up here at WVU. At the time, Judd was, kind of going around freelancing. He decided he wanted to come up here and, dabble in some work, and we started working together. I graduated college. I actually took on another job for a little bit of time.
What's your degree in, Andrew?
Mechanical engineering.
Okay, from WVU?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
Yep. But I would come back on the weekends, every weekend, and him and I would figure out a way to work some fashion or another. And through a little bit of his experience, a little bit of mine, we kind of found that there was a need for the restoration services in this area. We saw an opportunity, and we just started to dive into it. And then as Judd mentioned, things started to grow, and it made sense that I came on board officially. And, I had a background, obviously, in engineering, but then the job that I had there shortly after college was primarily in commercial construction. So yeah. I have a large experience in that field. So
that's great.
To be able to then merge that now with our goal of commercial restoration, I think it fits well.
Yeah. You mentioned, Andrew, filling a need. You saw a need out there. And I always say, most successful businesses do just that, right? You're helping solve somebody's problem, not just coming up with a great idea, but solving a problem that exists in the marketplace.
That's right.
Something that somebody's going to give you money for, right? That's the essence of a business. And it sounds like you guys have figured it out. I think that's awesome. Judd, what tell us a little bit about the specific services that you offer, and what are you kind of known for?
So, very specifically, we're large loss water damage and fire damage. What that looks like is when a sprinkler line busts, or it floods, or there is a fire in the building, our teams are on site within 4 hours.
Wow.
And we're providing
That's
those
fast.
Yeah, and
critical, right?
Very, very critical to reducing downtime of the business and reducing the overall cost that would be affecting the structure itself. So being on site's very critical. As fast as it happens, we need to be there extracting water, providing dehumidification, and just getting the building stabilized so that the repairs can happen.
So people can get back to business as quickly as possible, right?
That's right.
That's right.
Yeah, because time is money, as we all know.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about you got the response, but you also have the mitigation plans, right? Pre-disaster plans. Is that kind of what you guys are known for as well? Yes. You want to talk about that? Maybe Andrew, you can.
Yeah,
speak to
sure.
that.
So our pre-disaster plan is something that we have more recently just rolled out, but what that entails is if we get a client that comes on for our PDP services, we'll go out and we'll do a full detail of their property prior to an event happening at that property. And things that go along with that are developing a logistics plan around the property so that when we show up, we know where we're staging our equipment. We know how we're entering the building, how the client expects to see us entering the building. Essentially, if we're in a healthcare setting, maybe they have a loading dock that would be better susuited for us to go in and out of as
Instead of
opposed
coming
to
through the main front door. Whatever.
Exactly.
Okay.
So we're suited to do that, and in addition, we can go in and we can map the property ahead of time as well, which is that saves us an enormous amount of time when it comes to the mitigation aspect of things. Our techs can be 2, maybe 3 days ahead of where they would otherwise be on a cold call. Wow. for larger commercial properties. And when it comes to saving the property, I mean, that time is invaluable.
Yeah.
Really.
That sounds like it would be an invaluable proposition. Is there a high cost involved with those types of plans?
We actually offer that free to the client.
Wow.
Just for signing up with it.
Yeah. So you guys are, if something does happen, God forbid, right? You're already waiting in the wings, ready to go.
That's right.
A phone call, 4 hours, boom, you're there. You already have a plan.
Yes.
That makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
It does make a lot of sense.
I'll be doing that. Okay.
Yeah.
That does
That's
make
how
a
we
lot.
felt.
I like that, the way you guys are being proactive. So, Judd, I'm going to put you on the spot today. I picked on you a little bit here. Give us your 30-second pitch. In other words, when you meet somebody, what do you tell them that you do at Rebuilders? 30 seconds.
I would say we are a disaster restoration contractor that specializes in getting you back to business. We're on site, we're prompt, we have integrity. We're here to make sure that your problem disappears and that it's taken care of. From A to Z, mitigation service through, putting the last piece of trim on, we're going to take care of you.
I love it. Getting people back to normal.
Yep.
I think that's what it's all about, if I may say so myself. Now, guys, I think this is I'm really happy for your business. How long have you been in business now?
Since 2017.
2017.
As Rebuilders, the background goes a little further than that. My dad had started a contracting business in the early 90s, and I'd worked for him growing up. And
was that in Pocahontas County?
Yeah, and I had worked under him through that business for a couple years, and just kind of took the reins of it and developed it into really what it is today.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm very excited about that. Folks, we're going to take a quick break to mention our sponsors for Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
It started with a road trip. Huntington bankers through big cities and small towns, where we met Jane and Dontel and their calendar. Every day predicting the money coming in and the money going out, which gave us an idea. What if we could set up a digital cash flow calendar for their business? So we built it for them. Why? Because we're for people. Huntington, welcome.
Stay connected with an unbeatable deal from Breezeline. Get reliable, fiber-powered, 500 megabits internet for $39.99 per month with a $100 gift card and price lock guarantee. Plus, a free modem, free installation, and free Wi-Fi your way. Learn more at breezeline.com.
Your prescriptions are designed to keep you healthy, active, full of life. At Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, we're making vital medicine more affordable. Because when your prescriptions don't cost an arm and a leg, you can use those limbs for something more meaningful. Because life. Highmark Blue Cross Blue Shield, West Virginia.
And we're back. We're visiting today with Judd Walther. He's the CEO, and Andrew Morrison, COO of Rebuilders. Guys, I want to ask both of your opinion on this. what would you say is the thing you're most excited for rebuilders right now?
The growth potential that we have in our region and market. I feel like we provide a service that is unmatched with any competitor that we have.
Yeah.
Really,
especially with those pre-disaster plans.
Yeah, I think that
really
is, that's what sets us apart, is being proactive versus reactive.
I love it. Andrew, what's the thing you're most excited about right now?
I think Judd hit it spot on. We have very, very large aspirations, and every day we're making steps to work towards that. We see nothing but potential with what we're doing, and it's exciting.
Yeah,
it is.
I'm excited just listening to you guys talk about that.
For me, too, a big part of it is we're really working on developing our workplace culture with our guys.
How big is that?
Our workforce, we have about 18 guys right now.
Okay, 18 guys. What about the culture? How important is that?
It's extremely important. It's extremely important to myself. I know it is to Judd, all the same. But something that I really enjoy with that is getting engagement from our employees. It's not just Judd and I sitting back here and trying to control everything. We try to be as responsive and listen to our guys everywhere we can. So building that to us seems imperative, really. I think it'll really help us down the road too, keeping people on board and keeping with the idea of our mission.
Yeah, it's a lot of thought leaders in leadership and business that I listen to and read. They talk about that all the time, right? If you can get the culture piece right, the rest of it falls into place. You can hire for integrity. You use that word, Judd. You hire for character, right? You could teach the stuff. Right,
yeah.
The X's and O's, the blocking and the tackling, so to speak. But that getting that culture fit's important. And as you guys know, every time you add a person to your team, the culture changes just a little bit, doesn't
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
and that's therein lies the challenge. So we talked about how many employees you have. What about the geographic reach? Where are your customers coming from? Judd, I'll ask you first.
So we're, day-to-day operation is Pittsburgh to Clarksburg, as far east as Cumberland. For the larger commercial losses, we've worked in Florida, we've worked in Vermont. We've went all over the eastern seaboard.
How does that work? Like when you have a big disaster like a hurricane, do you guys get calls? Hey, we need help down here. Is that how it works?
Yeah. We've leveraged some partnerships that really help to get us set up going into those situations.
You can help people when the time arises, when the need is there, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, Andrew, what from your perspective, anything to add on that?
No, I think he's pretty well hit it.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting because you mentioned kind of like up and down 79, right? That's your one of your main bases, and I see your billboards all over the place. Rebuilders, right? Commercial restoration. So, is that something that you guys have focused on? How do you get the word out there? To get new business.
So we've actually just more recently went through a very large rebranding for our entire company.
Andrew. Yeah.
Judd could probably speak a little more in depth on it, but we got the impression that it was going to be very important for us to establish a brand and really try to identify who we were and what we were going for, which is why we, have the commercial restoration there.
Yeah.
We think that defines it pretty clearly. Before, it may have been a little scattered. Our trucks were, there was a lot going on with the wraps, essentially. So we've kind of changed all that.
You found your niche.
We did.
You found your lane.
Yes. Yeah, I believe so.
That's really cool.
And to touch on that, shout out to Stewart Design Brands for that. They have been excellent, and really happy to have got to work with those guys on that project.
Absolutely.
They did an excellent job and really helped us to define our mission.
That's great. Of course, that's Blake Stewart and Aaron Johnson. Right? Those guys do a great job. They actually, you guys may not even know this, but the Interaction Media logo, they designed.
Oh,
nice.
Yeah. So that's kind of cool. So I've been friends with Blake for a long time. That's how we actually met, right?
Yes.
That's really cool. So I got to ask you, because, I think of like commercial restoration. You guys have got to have seen some wild things, right? Some crazy, if you will, scenarios. Judd, tell us, what's the wildest thing you've seen in this business so far?
So it was Christmas Day of 2022. We get a call from a manufacturer in Washington, PA area. Their office building had some sprinkler lines break.
That was when we had like Minus
It was
zero,
cold.
right?
Yeah,
Below zero.
it was very, very, very cold, and there was a lot going on at that time
Pipes
period.
bursting. Yeah.
When we pulled up to that building, it looked like an ice castle. I mean, water had pushed out the sides of the buildings and encased the outside of the building.
What?
In ice. I mean, it was
How
probably
many floors was it?
it was 3 floors.
No kidding.
That was about 25,000 square foot amount of damage that affected that building.
Wow.
We got that building mitigated, dried, and had some of their office staff back in that building within 7 days.
Unbelievable.
It was
That really
it was a
is
feat,
amazing.
I will say.
Yes, it was.
Wow. Andrew, how about you? What's the wildest thing you've seen since you've been in this business?
Probably when we went down to Kentucky. When was that?
2022.
Yeah,
August.
Okay.
they had some massive flooding going on, and we did a little bit of work down there. Didn't end up getting a whole bunch, but just the devastation really that was seen was unbelievable. But it's nice still in those moments, like that going into those scenarios, you're there to help things, and you're going to get somebody back to where they were.
You want to restore them.
Absolutely.
It's all about restoration.
Yes, it is.
I think that's really cool. I haven't done a lot of the work that you guys have done, and it's what you're describing to me is heroic, right? It's really cool that you guys get to go in there and do that. I remember back several years ago here in West Virginia, we had the big flood in Clendenin. You guys remember that? And we had a couple of volunteers from our church went down and going to try to help some folks, and just mucking out those buildings was unbelievable. The stench.
Yeah.
I mean, there was freezers full of food and that had been rotting. And, oh my gosh, I can't believe what you guys have to do sometimes.
Yeah, it's definitely you never know what you're going to walk into
Right.
in any situation. Flooding, in my opinion, is some of the worst to have to deal with.
Water can just do such damage, can it?
Yeah,
It's
and
powerful.
Yeah.
it destroys everything in its path too. A water line busting has nothing on what a flood does, and we're here to help in any
They're
situation.
both floods, but one's natural kind of, and the other one's kind of a man-made thing. breaking or
Maintenance
whatever.
issue or
Yeah.
something along
maintenance.
those
Yeah, exactly.
lines.
That's wild. Yeah. So I appreciate that. In terms of growing your business, what's the biggest challenge you guys face right now? I'll throw that out to either one of you, whoever wants to take it.
Well, I think probably personnel is a huge part of that, and that goes
Human
back
capital.
to that goes back to that building that workplace culture. I think if we can continue to build a good culture, ultimately we're going to attract the talent that we're looking for. But certainly in the growing stages, it's hard to find those key players who are going to stick around and who are worth investing in. It is tricky. It's tricky to navigate that.
Yeah, absolutely. I totally get that. And I hear that a lot. So you're not alone, right?
Oh, yeah.
You're not alone. Folks, we're going to take a quick break and mention our sponsors for Positively West Virginia. We'll be right back.
It's in the precision, the attention to detail, and a confidence that create a timeless look. Like Diamond Cuts Barbershop, Freedom Kia of Morgantown is not only committed to timeless design, but also fair pricing, excellent sales, and service with no hidden fees. You'll love the all-new 2024 Kia Sportage LX all-wheel drive leasing for just $265 per month. Wherever it is you're going, arrive with confidence and arrive in style. Visit Freedom Kia today, right off exit 153 on I-79 in Morgantown.
My name's Caitlin Furby. I'm an interior designer with Remarkable Interiors. Our time is very limited. We're trying to do everything we can possible to keep our clients' projects moving and rolling. So Storymaker has been really great for us for putting out how to explain our company. I can sit and agonize about a post and is this right? Does this sound good? When I use Storymaker, it sounds so beautiful and it was so easy and it saves me a lot of time to do the things that I'm really good at.
And we're back. We're visiting today with Judd Walther. He's the CEO, and Andrew Morrison is the COO of Rebuilders, Commercial Restoration. Guys, we've talked about growth and expansion. What's the vision you have for the company long-term with Rebuilders? What would you like to see?
I believe that, over the course of the next 5 to 7 years, we have a goal to open up office locations in various places throughout the Mid-Atlantic. We've identified those areas of interest, and we have some initial understanding of how to achieve that. I mean, ultimately it comes to capital. Got to have the capital to invest, and we're working in achieving that to be able to meet those expansion goals.
What does that look like, Judd? You don't have to get too specific, but is it like outside investors? Is it what are you thinking?
Well, we're hoping to keep it as localized as possible without having to maybe dive into the private equity side of things. But we're definitely open to whatever helps us achieve the goal that keeps the ownership structure as it is.
Yeah, that's a challenge, right? Number one.
Yes, it is.
We hear the challenge, I guess, if you will, to access to capital, right? That's a common theme for folks that are on the show. I when I'm hearing you say that, I'm thinking like, have you ever scaled a business like that to multiple states? Probably not, right? So how do you get people around you, right, to help steer you in the right direction, to answer maybe help you eliminate or avoid those pitfalls, right?
I believe having mentors along the way, people that you can reach out to, that come from different walks of life than maybe just the restoration industry.
Yeah. Do you have that?
Multiple, not any one specific, but multiple people that can
That's
definitely.
fantastic. How important is that, Judd?
Extremely important. I believe anyone that's walking the path of starting a business, essentially from scratch, you need someone to look back to help you maybe steer the ship a little bit.
Yeah. I love that. First of all, thanks for sharing. I think that's very important to have that humility, right? Knowing that you don't have all the answers and you need some help. I tend to think that, being an owner of a business like you guys are, it can often be lonely. Now you're lucky because you have two people that you can bounce ideas off of, right? You have partners.
It's helpful.
Yeah, it's very helpful. But I'm thinking in my brain that, most likely what got you to where you are here today in 2024 is probably not going to be able to doing those same things is not going to be able to get you to where you want to go in the vision.
No.
Andrew, do you have anything to add to that?
No, I mean, I think you're right. There are some core values that we'll still hold steady to.
Sure.
But,
be true to yourself, right?
Absolutely. Integrity in our work, looking out for the client. We'll absolutely continue those as we continue to expand. And I was going to mention that a second ago too. That's what's exciting about the expansion aspect of things is, yes, we get to expand, but we get to see our vision in those expansions, so that we know when people are getting serviced in those areas, they're getting the quality of work that we expect and that we can provide.
Yeah. You hear it sometimes, this business or so, maybe an enterprise failed because they grew too fast. Right. And that's what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You got to make sure that you can maintain that same quality as you grow and as you scale it up, moving, like you said, Judd, around the Mid-Atlantic region.
Yeah.
And that's hard to do.
It is.
It's easy to say and want to do, but man, like we talked about, Andrew, every time you add a person, your culture changes a little bit. So how do you keep that? How do you keep it without being a micromanager too?
Right. No, you definitely have to let people be creative in their own ways, but still have that within a structure. A big word that Judd and I have been throwing around almost exclusively really is scalable. So exactly what you're saying, what we've done to this point has worked, but from a scalable sense, maybe there's a lot of our operations that we need to go back through and try to streamline, try to iron out any of the wrinkles that we have. Sure. So that when we go to that new location, we have defined processes and ways to make things move forward, essentially.
Yeah. It's all about people, product, and process.
Yes, it is.
100%.
That's a good way to put it.
Yes.
In your case, the product is a service, right?
Yeah.
But it's still a product, right?
It is.
It is.
Yeah, that's really interesting. I want to, you guys are leaders, right? You started a company here in West Virginia. You're born and raised here, grew up together in Pocahontas County, which I think is really cool. Now you get to work together and build a business together. When you think about attributes of successful leaders today in business, what comes to mind? I'll start with you, Judd.
People that are willing to sacrifice a dollar for quality. I think that, if you're willing to do that, whether our business or some other business, if you're willing to sacrifice your profits to make sure that your client's taken care of, that's what makes a good business owner, a good leader. That's definitely something that we've found ourselves you have to do sometimes.
Yeah, that's great insight. Thank you for sharing that. Andrew, how about you?
Well, we've mentioned it a few times so far, but right back to what we've said, integrity. And that's not just a word that we say, we get to this buzzword, especially for leaders or for trying to build company culture, but it's certainly something that I feel extremely passionate about.
What does that mean to you, that word?
To me, it's doing right by whoever we're working for or with. And regardless of what the situation is, if that situation comes back and we have to take the fall for something, I'm okay with that if it means that we're doing the right thing.
And it kind of ties into your point, Judd, about, the quality over the profit.
Yeah.
Same thing, right?
Yeah.
Those are perfectly meshed. So I appreciate you guys sharing that. And it's great insight and great advice to anybody listening. You guys, like I said just a minute ago, I love the fact that you're from West Virginia and you didn't leave. You started your company right here, right? There's other markets you could probably be doing this in.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe make more money or whatever, right? But you chose to stay in West Virginia. What advice would you give to somebody wanting to start a company here in West Virginia? I would like to hear from both of you. I'll start with you, Andrew.
I mean, you just got to go for it, really.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of how we started there in the beginning.
Don't think too much about it.
You definitely got to think a lot about it, but don't think too much about it.
Yeah. In other words, people have paralysis of analysis.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Right? No, you ultimately have to make a move for sure. But finding that need, I think, back to what you said at the beginning, is very, very important.
Yeah, that's great. Judd, how about you? What advice would you give to somebody thinking about starting a business here in West Virginia?
You will regret it if you don't. You have your entire life in front of you. If you fail, you can go get a job.
Love it.
So
Love it.
Just go for it.
Love it. How old are you guys?
27.
Yeah.
Both 27. Yeah. That's awesome. You guys, I mean, you're on a roll. I'm so impressed with your story and what you guys are doing. I think it's great. Guys, we've covered a lot in the story. Judd, Andrew, is there anything else you think our listeners should know about Rebuilders or your personal story? Anything you want to share?
I say you could reach us at rebuildersrestoration.com if you want to find out any more about our services.
Yeah, definitely. We're going to give you a shout out on all social media as well. We'll put all the links to your website, your phone number, and all that kind of stuff too. Judd, is there anything else you think folks should know about your story?
No, Jim, I think we've touched base on everything. I just definitely appreciate the opportunity to come on the show today.
Absolutely.
And this has been great.
Yeah,
Yes.
I appreciate you guys. I want to just say it's been a real honor to have you here. Okay, getting to know you guys, getting to know your story, getting to share your story. And I'm going to encourage anybody who's in business, if you need commercial restoration, Rebuilders, Judd and Andrew, those are the guys to go for, and giving them a call and reach out to him. Judd Walther is the CEO, and Andrew Morrison, the COO of Rebuilders Commercial Restoration. Guys, thanks again for being on the show. It's been great to have you. And I want to encourage you to keep up the great work.
Appreciate
Thanks,
that,
Jim. We
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Absolutely.
We'd like to thank our partners, Huntington Bank, Highmark, West Virginia, Freedom Kia of Morgantown, Storymaker, and our studio sponsor, Breezeline, for helping to share these positive stories. If you'd like to become a sponsor of the Positively West Virginia podcast, visit positivelywv.com/sponsor.
Folks, that's a wrap on another episode of Positively West Virginia. If you or someone you know would be a great guest on the show, drop us a line on our website at positivelywv.com. And of course, we appreciate your feedback, your comments, and sharing this content on your social media platforms. It really helps us to build an audience and give great kudos to these guys from Rebuilders today. Get their message out there too. On behalf of our entire Positively West Virginia team, including our producer today, Mr. Justin Schofield behind the controls, I'm your host, Jim Matuga. Stay positive, West Virginia.